Aloha everyone, Ronnie Landis here, and I want to share a message on intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting is where you're fasting intermittently or periodically. And I naturally came to this concept years ago through my raw food exploration and my detoxification and cleansing journey. And it naturally, for me, was just something I moved into, and then later on I became aware of the actual art of intermittent fasting and the different information and modalities out there on this topic, on this way of organizing your nutrition strategy in a way that is far more effective than the way that we traditionally will organize our food or organize our diet from start in the day, from breakfast, brunch, lunch, afternoon snack, dinner, that kind of linear approach. And there's a lot of information on this subject. There's a lot of science that I would love to deliver. There's a lot of nuances and different strategies that I've put together that are all related to fasting and intermittent fasting. And I first got introduced to this again through the concept of fasting and cleansing, juice cleansing, water fasting, dry fasting, salt water flushing, and that kind of thing. And then I naturally created a lifestyle that naturally was incorporating this. And then more recently, I've gotten really focused in on the specifics. So I'll share some of that with you. There's a few different ways you can go about intermittent fasting. It's kind of like in a beginner, intermediate, and advanced approach that I am creating to actually be able to instruct people on the different ways that they can move up the echelons of intermittent fasting to what I call advanced intermittent fasting, which is related to, you might have heard the warrior diet, where you're fasting for about 20 hours in your day, 16 to 20 hours in your day. You're fasting essentially, and then you have a 6-hour or 4-hour feeding window, they call it, where you can eat whatever it is that you eat. Now, I like that idea, but it's taken me years to actually get to the place where I can fast on water and juice, pretty much in teas, pretty much the whole day through, and then have one meal a day. We call that cyclic fasting. And the whole point of that, really, if you want to understand the point of intermittent fasting, and really what the benefits of elongating your fasting window are, it really comes down to your hormones. It comes down to what's called autophagy, which is cellular cleaning. It's defined as self-catabolism or self-digestion, where your body remanufactures and recycles macronutrients in your body, such as fats, sugar storages in the form of glycogen, and protein deposits. Now, what's interesting to me is that when you look at cancer, you look at diabetes, you look at very much lifestyle-induced diseases, you look at how to reverse engineer these things, it always comes back down to the principles of fasting. And in all the raw food-based healing modalities and healing clinics and centers in the world, they're always strong on this idea of juice cleansing, juice fasting, and it's pretty clear why. Because if you look at some of these diseases, what the big issue with a lot of them is that the body has stored up undigestible or unmetabolizable protein deposits, mostly nitrogenous protein that the body is trying to do something with, but it creates a bedding ground for mutated cells to feed off the nitrogen, to feed off the protein, the nitrogenous protein, and that sets up an inner environment for disease. Now, what's interesting about fasting is that what ends up happening is your body goes through a mode of self-recycling, you say, self-recycling, where your body will start to recycle out, or it will manufacture energy from sugar. It'll manufacture its own energy source from glycogen. That's your sugar storages that are in your muscle cells and mostly in your liver. And then after it's exhausted that fuel supply, it'll move over into what's called ketogenesis. That's your fat metabolism. And we hear a lot about the ketogenic diet, ketosis, and all that kind of thing. That's for another subject for me to get a little deeper into. But you're essentially carrying out that idea through the practice of fasting by default. You are going to be in a ketosis state by default. So your body will recycle out and manufacture and then release fat storages in the body. And then after the deep healing work that comes from fasting, like elongated fast is, for example, is that your body will start to recycle out and metabolize protein deposits, undigestible protein. Your kidneys will start filtering that out. Your body will start eliminating that out through the intestinal tract. It'll start to eliminate that stuff from the body because now it has room to breathe, essentially. And it'll start manufacturing that for some sort of fuel supply. And that's kind of the idea, is that your body is self-catabolizing excess material in the body that it doesn't have a chance to, because all the metabolic enzymes and digestive enzymes that would normally go to healing trauma points in the body, healing scar tissue, healing wounds in the body, attacking foreign organisms and eliminating them through the body and the immune system. Your enzymes don't have the opportunity to do that because you put so much food into the body that those enzymes have to redistribute themselves to the digestive system to start metabolizing the protein, carbs. Carbs are mostly metabolized in your mouth and much quicker through the amylase secretion in the saliva. But really it's the protein that the body has the most difficult time breaking down in comparison. So that's kind of the idea there, is that you're giving your metabolic enzymes, your proteolytic enzymes, a chance to actually do what they're designed to do, which is go through the body and cleave up scar tissue from the blood, cleave up scar tissue in the joints and the ligaments, and start patching up all that torn tissue and whatever inflammation, whatever's going on in the body. You get the idea. The other thing with intermittent fasting is human growth hormone. Human growth hormone. As we age, as we do more dances around the sun, we start to lower our HGH production. This is well documented. The science is extremely clear. I don't need to reference anything about that. It's easy for you to look up. But the idea here is that whenever we eat something, we signal the hormone insulin from the beta cells in our pancreas, and then insulin actually shuts off human growth hormone production. We're learning this in the fitness world, where intermittent fasting is being utilized as a modality for fitness, for rejuvenation, for repair, for muscle growth and development, and for athletic, for recovery purposes mostly. So one of the things that people are finding out is that they don't have to have a specific window of time that we used to think of in the fitness world, where you had about 30 or 40 minutes of a window from when you're done with your anabolic exercise, your weight-bearing exercise, to when you can start to feed again, like a protein and carbohydrate-rich smoothie or something like that, right? We're finding out that you can actually, through adaptation, as you adapt to this metabolically, you can stretch out that window much longer, and the human growth hormone that's secreted after your training will actually go in to do deeper levels of repair and renewal, and then you can have like 1 or 2 small windows where you have your nutritional feeding. Again, this is an adaptive quality that you develop metabolically over time, and it's difficult for me to lay it all out here in a short enough video. I'll probably have to do a series of videos to break down the full thought process about this. But I think the best place to start is just letting all of you know that there's tremendous benefits to intermittent fasting, to fasting in certain periods of your life where you're doing complete fasts. But as a lifestyle, as a cleansing and anabolically building lifestyle, you can incorporate the best of both worlds. Where in the morning, the way to get started with something like this is that you don't have a traditional breakfast. In the morning you wake up, I recommend everybody has at least 1 full liter of the best water possible, spring water, clarified water, non-pollutant containing water. And then you have sea salt in that. That helps balance your blood sugar. It helps bring back your electrolytical balance, your electrolytes, your remineralization. And then from there, you can go into having a juice. We want to move up the calorie intake much later in the day. So you want to have substances, liquid substances that are non-caloric for the first part of your day, because the calories actually signal the insulin production, specifically carbohydrate calories, but they all work similarly, right? As everything breaks back down into sugar, like protein even, gluconeogenesis, protein will break down in some form into sugar molecules to be transported into the insulin receptors. So the idea, again, is that you're turning your body into a free energy generating device, metabolically speaking, over time. So having a nice green vegetable juice as your breakfast to break your water fast. And then from there you can do like a hot chocolate herbal tea with your herbs in it. And then from there you can then have your light superfood smoothie kind of idea, right? And then from there, you decide when the right time is to start incorporating solid food back into your day. But typically people recommend that you do the intermittent fasting all the way up until about 2 o'clock, right? That's the basic idea. Me personally, I would like to stretch it usually until about 6 or 7, and then I'll have one meal, and that meal is typically it's typically a salad, really. I might have a little bit of quinoa. I might have a little bit of yams or sweet potatoes. Not that much. I don't really do starchy carbohydrates that often, but when I do, I like to steam cruciferous vegetables like broccoli and cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, that kind of thing, as a side dish to my raw, organic, supercharged salad. And then from there, I might have a tea again, something like that, or a piece of chocolate. You know, it's like that. I'm giving you kind of an outline on how you can fill in the dots here. You can fill in the colors. That's an easy way to get started. And then if you want to go more intermediate level and then more advanced level, that's where we sophisticate this whole intermittent fasting idea. And there's so much I could talk about on this, but I'm going to kind of leave it at that for now. I just want to give you an idea, drop some of the benefits, the scientifically validated benefits of how your body is actually adapted to this way of eating. This is actually more of a natural, ancestral type of eating, outside of, grazing and that kind of thing. But this is actually the deal. Longevity-wise. Like, if you want to increase longevity, realistically, it's not going to come from a pill or a potion or one supplement, like a Laetrile supplement or a telomerase activating supplement or something like that. Those are all great adjuncts, but they're supplemental to the foundation that you create. And in my opinion, in my observation, in my own experimentation, intermittent style fasting or cyclic style fasting is the way to go, ultimately to create the ultimate metabolic foundation for increasing longevity characteristics. So, if you have any questions about this, ask your questions below, and then I'll do videos that are more specific to those questions, because like I said, I have so much knowledge and so much perspective of this one topic in my head that I have to kind of pick my spots. I don't want to make this a 30-minute video that's just kind of going in different directions. Help me be more specific by asking specific questions, and I will do my best to address them. Thank you so much. I'll tune in with you guys later. Aloha.